Hi, and welcome to Willow Roundtable Discussions. Willow is an events-driven community where industry experts and entrepreneurs can come together in social settings and share the latest intelligence in cutting-edge technology and investment opportunities. Our group discussion starts now. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm really happy that everyone's here. Today is a Willow event at Mogs with Mogs, always here at Mogs. And we have a lot of special guests and special speakers, so really excited. And the topic of today is what?
We're talking about the Metaverse, NFTs, and the future of collectibles.
Correct. And some gaming as well.
Well, yeah, of course, some gaming. So I think let's get started with all of the people who are like on the list of speakers and everyone out. I'll kind of like call out after. Let's start with you, Eric.
Hi, hello, my name is Eric Chow, and I'm a writer, gamer, and dog lover. I work for ESL Gaming, and we do esports.
Can you please introduce Pooper?
Yes, so my dog, who you can't see right now, who's sitting next to me, is the Major Pooper. He is an 11-year-old mutt from Beijing.
And now we're at Jonathan.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Schechter, also known as Shecky. I'm a longtime music and media industry guy, founder of The Source magazine way back in the day, but currently very interested in DeFi and crypto and everything related to digital technology and the future.
Cool. I'm Amber. So me and Chrissy and Sandy put these events together. I'm also an ambassador for Uniquely platform, which is a NFT fractionalizing platform that's about to launch in the next few weeks.
Hi, my name is Wang. I'm a former video game grizzled veteran. So I spent over 20 years making video games, operating video games. I worked at companies like LucasArts, Disney, Blizzard. And now I'm also exploring the digital world of cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, that whole space. And I'm excited for the future of the metaverse and where that will lead. So
I thought that like grizzled veteran was like a gaming industry term, and I tried to get Eric to call himself some sort of grizzled veteran.
I'm far too new to be a grizzled veteran.
Yeah, I'm old. It's actually a lunch group that we have. Like everyone's in their 50s, and we were making games in the 90s, so we literally called it the Grizzled Game Veterans Lunch.
It's not so much about an age issue. It's more I have so much more to learn from people like Yen.
William.
Great. My name is William Baubine, and now I can see my levels are super.
Yeah, it's worse when you move it, because then I hear like, ooh, I'm moving.
Hi, my name is William Baubine.
Edit this later.
This is very casual, guys. Like, just because there are speakers here, this doesn't mean anything. I just wanted it to look cool.
Yeah,
in
this
case
thing is
people take
turned
photos.
way the fuck up, so you don't even need to lean it.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah,
we just got
it's
this
super
today,
high
so.
right now. Yeah, so my
Should I
name is
turn it-
William Bean, and I'm a venture capital investor with SOSV. So welcome to our nice office, courtesy of Taiwan Tech Arena. So I've been doing tech investment for 25 years, and I've done 2 startups. The first one was an unmitigated disaster in media, and the second one, we had some small success. We launched Vice Media in China, and 2010 to 2012 built it to a very interesting place, like a top social campaign in the history of China without spending any money, which is the key thing, especially if you know Vice. But no, after that, did SoftBank for China and Southeast Asia investments. And now what we're doing here, started to invest in crypto, been doing games since 99 and getting into DeFi, and just did our first NFT investment in January. So happy to share about that. Thanks.
Can you tell us like what the project was? It can't be secret like that.
Oh, so yeah. So we bumped into an old friend on the internet because we're not actually bumping into people in real life these days. So it's all about the metaverse. And I've known Hrish for 13, 14 years. And he built over the last 2.5 years a metaverse called Superworld. So Superworld has been around for 2.5 years. It's been launched, and in November he did $11,000 in basically virtual real estate plot sales. Each one is 0.1 ETH, which at that time was like $120. And then in December, actually maybe less, December he did $19,000 in sales. And the only thing he changed was he put an explainer video on his website. And so I had invested in crypto starting in 2015. I invested in 4 companies in crypto fintech, and I got one called BitMEX, and without ever meeting the founders in person. And so at this point, I'm like, don't really understand this, so I'm definitely going to invest. And so in February, they hit $111,000 in
basically
revenue.
they're taking like real land and real estate and then tokenized. No, sorry,
That's
NFT.
illegal. No, they're
Not
taking
tokenized,
the entire world and
Yes.
turning it into virtual map, 62 billion plots, and they're selling virtual real estate, not real estate.
Not real estate.
Yeah,
no.
no. We had a lot of problems with BitMEX in the law, so we're going to keep it real with Superworld. So you can buy any place in the world on this virtual map for 0.1 ETH, which is now $175. And it's starting to take off. And they are supporting creativity. So they have an artist salon and an NFT exchange because the world is your gallery, right? So really happy to talk about that tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Let's let Patrice intro.
Hi, my name is Patrice So. I'm a curator focusing on contemporary art, and I love to collaborate with different expertise from different fields.
Cool. KK.
Hi, my name is KK. I have a company called Beast Kingdom. We signed a contract with the licensor like Disney to produce the collectible toys, and we also do IP exhibitions. So very, very happy to be here tonight.
KK is also a very good friend to have because every time you go into his office, it's like going to Disneyland. And also when he comes to see you, he brings gifts for your friends. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
Hello everyone, so I'm Jimmy Wang. I've been in e-commerce for 20 years. I had my own startup selling party supplies and toys on the Yahoo store platform back in the days. From there, I worked for a national golf retailer. I've been only doing e-commerce. I even worked for a adult toy company, partnered with Pornhub. And then from there, I worked for Newegg. We're a online retailer of consumer electronics. From there, I went to Western Digital. I managed our SanDisk e-commerce store. And then from there to Incipio, we sell like in-case phone cases, in-case bags for Apple Store. And now I work for Bandai Namco. I'm responsible for B2B e-commerce for the US market.
And Namco is like big in...
Yeah, we're big in games, but also the toy division. I'm in the toy division.
Cool. And so these are our main speakers, but I'd also like, Justin to give an intro since, you're also...
I was accidentally brought up here. And
Yeah, I accidentally called you out right now, Justin. I don't even know you. Thanks for being here. Taking care of you,
Yeah, no, I'm very, very happy. Hi, my name is Justin Hulag. I'm the general manager of Riot Games. We make League of Legends and Valorant and Wild Rift and a couple of other games. And I'm going to transfer back to Taiwan.
I'm just going to continue on with my other friends. Ryan, do you want to do a DeFi thing or no?
No, it's not my night, so feel free to.
Okay, what about Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark. I'll introduce myself. Why not? Hi, I'm Mark. I have been doing. My first encounter with NFTs was I was working for a virtual reality company, doing virtual games. We were looking into virtual, obviously in-game items and how to make those long-lasting and how to make those added value. And since then, I've been into blockchain for the last 3 years. Done a couple of projects. Just got done with a project for actually an adult entertainment company who was also looking into NFTs.
Enjoying music in the company of others within games. but those can also be copyright protected and monetizable.
Cool. KK, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that like real actual IP holders are going to start to create their own NFTs like on similar to what's out there now, or what are your views?
I think there's a market, but I'm not sure if a content company can do this kind of stuff, because I've been talking to them to clear our merchandise right to because whenever creating a figurine, we have the 3D files, so logically we can sell the file on the virtual world, but all of our existing contract, in order to complete one transaction, there's a shipping document need to be in place. And without the shipping document, it's not a complete transaction, which means our contract with the Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers is not allowing us to do it. Whenever we're talking about that, and it come with the legal team, it come with the brand assurance team. I mean, everyone has to be involved. But I think there's a market there, because we do have a lot of inquiry from our customer talking about that. If we can release the file for them to sell on the virtual market. Yeah.
Interesting. Eric, can you tell us about like how your company is doing the whole connection between physical and digital collectibles, and how that's going to affect sort of like the collectors in the future?
So from an ESL standpoint, there's 3 things that we're currently doing with NFTs and crypto. One of the things is it's going to be very important to be part of the, and I can't explain more on this unfortunately, but we are doing something with the digital conference kind of concept, where you would have a special ticket which will be backed by an NFT and allow you to go to different exhibits based on whatever level of ticketing you have. And to be fair, you honestly don't have to use an NFT or anything to power this technology at the moment, but the ultimate goal is for that ticket to continue on in value. So many ways, think of buying a Super Bowl ticket and be able to have that as a collectible, and being able to sell that on further after you watch the Super Bowl.
Cool.
So that's something that we're currently working on. I can't explain more onto how that works. The other thing that we're doing is building specific tokens for players. So players will be able to check into multiple tournaments using that. And that's something I also can't go into too much detail on. But the one thing that I can definitely go into is more or less a digital and physical thing that we're doing, which is along the lines of digital and physical trading cards. So very similar to what Top Shot has done with the NBA or NFL. We're doing the exact same thing for professional game players and content creators. So you can go and buy a digital pack on something like epics.gg, and it'll have your favorite Counter-Strike player, it'll have your favorite streamer, and that will be unique to you. You'll have that one unique card that you can then trade or put on a marketplace and trade with other people for. Cool. That is a massive moneymaker.
Cool. Justin, also from like a traditional gaming perspective, what are your thoughts on the whole NFT boom? Are you going to incorporate it, or?
Okay, so from a work perspective and from like a Riot perspective, we have no like plans that we are like where we're actually like looking at this in detail. Right? I think there's lots of people who are very interested in it, and I think it has a lot of potential. But I think that the way that our business model is set up, it's very sort of separated. We have our own kind of things going on. It doesn't necessarily make sense for us to kind of delve into this. Personal perspective, however, and as a person who plays a lot of video games, consumes a lot of content, like spends way too much time playing Genshin Impact and rolling for characters which like have no material value outside of the game. I think that the concept is absolutely fascinating, and I kind of think that if you have the ability to create something that you are able to purchase or earn or whatever in a game that then can translate into other games that you can take with you to other worlds, that you can take with you through your entire gaming experience, that you can display in whatever metaverse you decide.
But isn't that one of the key issues with the IP, or how are these gaming things going to cross over into different metaverses?
Yeah, and I think that from our perspective, like we, and actually, like I actually can't comment too much on sort of like how we're thinking about it, because we don't have a set sort of viewpoint on it, But I do think that there's like a lot of potential there, and I kind of think that there's companies out there now that I've sort of that are starting to think with this as the fundamental like cornerstone of how they think about their content strategy, and that makes it more possible. I think for a company like us, where we have 10 years of content that we produced, where the people collect, where you can see the impulse there. If we had started out with this concept, it would be possible to kind of go back and kind of create that. But I think that for other companies that are thinking about this, like thinking about this as a cornerstone of how you think about your content, the way that you think about creating ways for your players to enter the world and to sort of expand beyond the world, has a lot of untapped potential.
I think like this goes back to KK. Do you feel that there's going to be ability to cross over with like different NFTs with IPs to like different games or collections? Does that like a potential revenue there?
From what I see right now, it's like right now it's at the stage of like many years ago there was CDMA and GSM, and people are betting their money on different systems. And now all the things we are talking about is actually on different systems. And there is no authority to come out to make the law that is actually fit for globally. So when you're talking about IP crossover, anything on, online, is actually it will come with the legal issues. So without the authority or without the law has been made, now is I don't think it's possible. But I think right now with the current situation, it has to go to the gaming company. Why most of the gaming company prohibit player on trading the figures? I mean the character they make online. Why not they allow to? I mean, this is like kind of like if I'm a player, I play for a long time, and this character has been very strong on skill within the game. Can I sell them to other players?
In many games you can now.
Yeah. Because I know Overwatch you cannot.
Yeah. So just one thing that we did is we created basically non-counterfeit, any fake QR codes. Mm-hmm. So what you can do is you can have a physical product and put a unique label on it. Yeah. And so the NFT is then tied to the product. Yes. So under my understanding of your licensing contracts, and I didn't read them obviously, but like you can actually, you don't need to NFT the character, you can NFT the product. And then, so the physical product is tied to the NFT. Now you can toss the physical product, but that's actually your key. Yeah. So you might want to think about that. We can take that offline. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that would be in violation of your licensing agreements, because you're not NFTing the character, you're NFTing the product.
That's similar to in esports. A friend of mine, they're NFTing their sports teams. They're not actually NFTing the car, or that they're NFTing the car that belongs to the team. But I have another question for Mark. I'm wondering in the adult film entertainment industry, do you see it being gamified through NFTs?
So I think to be perfectly frank, all of that space has been pretty behind since the tube days where they were very innovative. They've been very behind the times and taking up new products and new technologies. So do I think they're going to do anything quickly? No. I mean, obviously our company and our team is looking at it right now. But again, it's still a ways off in doing things that are, I think the main value is in doing things that are not copyable or not replicable, or you can just do one-off of something, of a digital file, of a video file, of a picture, of something like that. And the other thing that it does bring is it brings authenticity. And I think that's a big deal, because almost every part of eBay is, this is the authentic axe that was used on the set of, Lord of the Rings. This is the one the guy's holding, right? With NFTs, you have the ability to actually prove that and have an official version from start one. And so I think looking at how people create content for adult industries, it's like this could be the official thing, or this could be the number one thing that was made, or this is the one that was the original. And why is it the original? Because I said so, and it's got an NFT attached to it, right? And I think that's where it'll go in the short term. But I don't think it'll be a short term. I shouldn't say in the short term, because I think it's actually going to be slower in some of these industries than others.
Jimmy, you're like an expert in like collectibles. I'm wondering if you feel that NFTs is going to sort of help your business, help this sort of like rarity, or how do you feel on?
Well, like in terms of NFTs, I'm still relatively new to it. I haven't heard my colleagues speak internally about this. Again, I'm on the toy side. But I do understand that what Bandai Namco is really excellent in is in controlling the supply and demand of our product. Since I'm in the collector side, for example, for a listing that's on Amazon, Amazon's our customers. The sellers on Amazon are also my customers. Also, my customers also their own website. So actually, we do have control over what we want to supply Amazon. When we supply Amazon, the prices reflect a market price or MSRP. But when we stop supplying Amazon, due to the limitation of these products, actually the price goes up. So what happens, I encourage the customers to go to our customer website and say, hey, you're actually getting a great deal at MSRP instead of inflated price on Amazon. So we do have a good control of that aspect. And a lot of it is really based on controlling the supply and demand.
Cool, thank you. I'm thinking that there's, a lot of buzz towards NFTs, and, you're saying, Eric, that it's going to always start off in gaming and it needs to be in gaming. But I feel that mainstream adoption is going to come from people like, the Bilao sale or Kings of Leon, or like people do. A lot of artists that are approaching me, they don't even know what an NFT is. They just want to use this form to, to create better interaction with their clients or for the monetary factor. Can you explain how other people are getting involved, what's new, what's going on, and what's to look forward to?
Me.
Of course, yes.
So yeah, we're at an interesting moment with music and NFTs. It's been really exploding, as mentioned, with Bilao, who's an electronic artist based in Las Vegas, where I actually live as well. He recently sold an album that was 3 years old for over $11 million, which really got a lot of people's attention in the music industry. A few other prominent artists have done similar things. Kings of Leon is a rock band that did some interesting things with NFTs that included what they called a golden ticket, which allowed you to have basically a backstage pass and a front row seat to a bunch of their concerts. So there's the experience aspect of it, which is I think a really interesting angle on NFTs, not just a digital thing, but something you can actually do in real life. But what's happening now with music is it's still early, but we're at an interesting point where, the music industry, as everyone knows, is hundreds of years old, and it has a lot of legacy issues, meaning like there's people that are burdened by contracts with record labels, publishing companies. There's a lot of infrastructure in the music industry that blockchain in general has been looking to disrupt for some time now, but not really successfully yet. The existing legacy music industry has a very strong hold on the business of music. And as a result, the people that are making these moves that are making NFTs are often the independent artists and the people that are not burdened by a record label or burdened by a publishing deal. For those that don't understand, a publishing deal is about songwriting. So when any song that gets released has songwriters, it could be the artist, but it might not be. It could be someone who's just in a room writing a song. Also, the people that make the music are songwriters. So producers or even musicians that play on the song are also considered songwriters. So that whole side of the business is actually a very deep-seated and actually the most valuable part of the music industry. And it's very unclear, to be honest with you, how that and blockchain confront each other, because all the artists that are putting stuff online, the reason you're seeing a lot of electronic artists like Bilao and like RAC and a handful of others. I just saw recently that Calvin Harris just announced a drop on Nifty Gateway, he's a really, really big EDM star. The reason you're seeing a lot of electronic artists lead the way is because they often work alone. They're basically a guy or girl in a studio by themselves writing a song. And that's the reason why it's easier for them to make a move and to put it out over here, put it out over there. Whereas if you're in a band, or if you're even a rapper who has a producer and sometimes other songwriters, and there's a lot more people involved, there's a lot more companies involved. So the EDM artists are kind of leading the way because they're really more agile in what they can do. So we're at an interesting point, and because of the Blau sale, it really woke a lot of the industry up to the potential of NFTs. And I'm part of that. I mean, I was following it for a long time, but I think that what Blau did, a lot of the reason of his success is because he's been around crypto for a long time. It's not just about, he's not the most famous guy. He's not the biggest star. No disrespect to him, but he's not the biggest star. But the reason he was so successful is because he's been networking and working in the crypto world for years now. And I think that is also a factor. Now, what's happening with these music NFTs is a lot of times the music artists are teaming up with what we're calling now crypto artists, which are visual artists, graphic artists who specialize in making content for the crypto world. And so that combination is really where this action is happening with these NFTs. But I think the real potential here is, this is a long answer, but the real potential here is the way that it really aligns the interests of fans for the first time with the artists in a real genuine way. And what some people are calling, what we see on like Patreon and stuff like that, where an artist gets to support a fan gets to support their favorite artist. Here we're calling it like patronage plus, which means that basically for the first time, not only can I support my favorite artists, but I might be able to make money alongside them as well, because I buy an NFT of their work, and then I might be able to resell it. And the new version of NFTs with the new ERC standard allows for royalties to be paid now for the original creator, the person that minted, the entity that mints the NFT, then gets to receive royalties and the resale. So in that sense, you're aligning the interests of the fan and the artist for the first time. So that is why I really see so much potential for the future of music and NFTs. It's because really it gives a chance for fans to get involved in a genuine way at, connecting directly to the artist and also aligning the interests directly with the artist's interests. And so that's where the future lies. But in the meantime, we do have, as other speakers have pointed out, what amounts to a big frenzy and almost a bubble in terms of the crazy inflated valuation of some of these things. And I do not believe, I know the value of music. I've been around music for over 30 years, working in this industry, and I know that songs are not worth $11 million. That's again, I don't want to single him out, but like, I don't think they're going to hold that value. I really don't. But that being said, I do think there's going to be a lot more artists coming into the space. So we're at a very interesting inflection point right now, and it's really interesting to watch how this evolves. I think you're going to see a ton more, and you're seeing bigger and bigger names. The only reason you're not seeing a flood of big, giant names now is because of the reasons I said about they're all basically locked into these deals that prevent them from doing this. But more and more people are finding these, freeing themselves up to do NFTs. So you're going to see a lot more NFTs from big name artists coming down the pipeline. We're at an interesting point.
I'm just really happy right now that you guys all agreed to come and do this kind of like social experiment with me where like everyone's a speaker and you guys are all such like amazing speakers. So I'm really, really happy about that. I just wanted to add to that though. Do you think that this is the end of the record label? I think this is a ongoing question.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, a lot of people who are crypto and NFT specialists are speculating that the NFT means the end of the record label. I'm not really sure about that. I don't believe that record labels. I'm not ready to write their obituary yet. I've been a record label myself. I've worked with record labels for many years. Record labels are now basically in what we might call a service business, meaning that they are marketing companies. The purpose of a record label nowadays, because anyone can make music in their bedroom, and most people do. Most artists are making music on their own, essentially for free. In the old days, record labels used to finance the creation of music, but that is no longer a problem. Artists can make music on any laptop for free, basically. So because of that, the role of the record label has become a marketing company. Their job is to take that file, that creative work, and then blow it up in the sense of making it popular, making the artist into a name that people care about. And that will never change. There's literally hundreds of thousands of aspiring music artists out there, all trying to make a name for themselves. And, many of them will fail, and a very, very small percentage will succeed. And that the role of the label there'll always be a role for some entity. It may not always be officially a record label, but some entity or entities are going to have to help amplify the message that these artists are putting out. There are sometimes examples of truly independent artists that break through totally on their own with no record label. That does happen, but it's extremely rare. And most of the time, the artists that you care about are people that you've learned about through the work of some record label that's done the marketing to teach you about them. So that's why I'm not ready to write the obituary for record labels yet. I think that labels, including some prominent ones, are looking into this digital space now. Something called Dapper Labs, which is a label-owned entity. Warner Brothers, I believe, is the financier of that. And they basically are all about this NFT things. In fact, they've created some of these, other platforms within the NFT space, not with music necessarily, but they've done a bunch of different things. The point being that we're still, all these companies are going to end up getting into this space one way or the other. They're figuring it out still. There is a window of opportunity now, probably for the next year or so, where these independent artists have a head start. So it's actually a great time to be a hot independent artist. If you're lucky enough to be in that place right now, to get in this NFT space, it's a great time to do it. But it's not going to last forever. There's going to be that window's going to shut, I believe.
It occurs to me that this kind of reminds me of kind of like the golden age of blogging, when like the early bloggers were coming in and all of a sudden all of them were scooping up like $500,000 a year, $1 million a year contracts to write one blog post that was like a recipe on, I don't know, like waffles, and then everyone was like, oh, I'm going to become a blogger. But then after that, it saturated. And then what ended up happening is that large publishers ended up coming back in and ended up regulating that market in a really significant way. And I do think that there is one thing that I sort of want to call out here, is that I think that it suddenly, like sitting in this panel that I didn't mean to be a part of.
I'm sorry, that's my fault, but I did
hanging
ask
out
you,
in our office.
I asked you on the way. Remember that? I did ask you on the way.
Do you want to sit here?
Well, I was offering you beer.
Sit down.
Exactly.
I'm probably one of the people here that understands NFTs the least. And I think that it's important to kind of note that like, in large companies and in major corporations, right, where you have a big apparatus, where you have existing businesses that can capitalize on the NFT rush, like at least like at Riot where I am, there's a pretty significant sort of like gap between people who really understand NFT, like my head of esports has been buying like Bitcoin in 7-Eleven at Taiwan for like years.
At 7-Eleven?
Good for him.
It used to be the one place where you could get
I didn't know you could do that.
Bitcoin inside.
It's in the ATM.
You marked it up, but yeah.
Literally, he would like stop like in between meetings and be like, "We need to go get some Bitcoin," and I'd be like, "What are we doing? Like, I'm really busy. We have to go." It's paid off, But then, like, to me, the interesting thing about the whole NFT space is that in many ways it's a canvas, and what happens is that the content that gets put on that, there will be a point in time when this becomes, standardized, and that companies like us will have an easy way to understand it, when artists who don't know anything about technology can make decisions about, and make the important decisions, which is content, which I think is what will actually like drive value for the consumer at the end.
Yeah, I think
I'm
everyone here is
gonna
really on
just
the
say
content
one
focus.
thing, which is that like the very basis of SOSV mocks is that the big companies are not going to have as much of a play, right? I mean, we're doing this on purpose. No, it's slower, but like our entire business model is to disaggregate your employer, right? Tencent, right? So like we just want to take them out. So we're a partner. We signed a partnership with Universal Music 2.5 years ago. We just signed last year. We're strategic partners with Warner Music. Both of them, they don't like each other that much, but they're okay. There's some people moving back and forth, but like. Our new adjunct partner, who was SVP Innovation at Universal, he put us in touch with, this Suite.io, which started off as like a thing where you can like get bonus points if you press play on Spotify and listen to the end and make a comment, right? But they quickly went into NFTs, and I couldn't get in there. I negotiated an okay deal, but I had to walk away because they're getting, this is before NFT took off, and it was like, a $60 million pre. But they are doing NFTs, and it does not actually trip. The way the contracts are written, it doesn't generally trip the copyright or the music. You're not doing an NFT on the music. You're doing an NFT on a smiley face with the thing under it that has a benefit, like you were talking about just now. You can get a golden pass. You can get you can get special benefits. You get in the music video. You collect all 5. You get all these benefits that the artists have total 100% control on. So, and everybody's cut out. And so one thing that NFTs can do, in theory, is change the game of music. And that's what we've been trying to do for the last 5 years. I'm not really into music, but been in the music industry for a while. But it's about breaking that sort of like slave-slaver kind of relationship between, creators and the distribution. So I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, revolution, but yeah, this could actually break things out a bit because you can actually have a direct relationship with the fans. That's right. You can have a direct relationship with the connoisseurs of whatever you're creating.
I think what Justin said, that we're all kind of like, it's basically based on the content, so that we're all experts makes sense.
Yeah, it's also important to understand that the NFT isn't the content. The NFT is like a certificate or a passport even. So like what Shecky was saying earlier was that, Blau, the NFT didn't just come with the music. It came with like essentially the ultimate backstage pass to Blau. And talk about the adult industry and where that might go, but I don't want to go there. So instead of thinking of NFT as art even, it's this technological innovation that allows essentially a smart contract to be tied to a unique identifier that can have all sorts of implications, whether it's like multiple royalty streams with the terms all encoded directly into the smart contract code. It really has the potential to change the game. And then the next level beyond that is also, there's a way to encode basically like social tokens. So there's a concept of social tokens, which can be backed by NFTs. So it starts getting a little bit mind-bendy, but like some of the biggest players in NFT, there's a guy named Whale Shark. So he was the second highest bidder on the Blau auction, which was actually 33 NFTs.
I thought that was Justin's son.
Justin's son? No, that's
he's not Whale
different.
Shark.
Yeah, he's not Whale Shark.
Whale Shark's cool.
He bid on
Shark's
the other thing.
Second highest bidder. Anyway.
That was the Beeple.
Okay.
So by the way, Beeple also, like in an interview, when asked, he's probably the most successful NFT artist. Is this a bubble? His response
People were so mad at him, like other artists. There was so many clubhouse rooms after saying, like, he just made so much money and he like sold everyone else out.
Yeah, he basically said, is it a bubble? 100%. That was his answer. So yeah, there's a lot of chaos in the space, but it's really like the hype right now isn't really what the key point is. The key point is the fact that we have this ability to create governance within a vehicle that acts like a unique identifier passport that can be literally like we could transact the NFT, like I could get it stamped essentially with additional value encoded into it. And that like the stuff that I think ESL was mentioned, where they have unique identifier. It's almost like passports. I think a good way to think of it is like passports.
Cool. I'm wondering, Calvin, if you can give people that are new to NFTs or people that are making NFTs, can you give them an intro to like the technical side or the security side on what you would tell these people?
Yeah, so I mean, I focus on custody, right, and that's definitely the non-sexy side of all this conversation, but let me explain why it's a must as this industry to grow, right? So I think you're exactly right. NFT, we've been talking about content and IPs and all that fun stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just another application using blockchain technology, right? So just like Bitcoin. So kind of what the problem I'm seeing potentially right now is it's just like in the blockchain world, there are too many protocols right now, right? So I'm now focusing on the very bottom layers before even artists, we're talking about technology. So right now, most of the NFTs are on Ethereum blockchain, right? So we all know the gas fee there, the transaction fees, it's not really sustainable, or it's quite high. But you have, new entrants, for example, like Dapper Lab, they have their own flow blockchain protocol. So now it's like putting artists, okay, well, should I, put my NFT as, Flow, or should I put Ethereum, or, all these Polkadot, or whatever chain is coming out, right? So it's back to the same question, it's, battle of the different networks. So, and what that means is, from a custody perspective, I as a custodian, I now have I have to support Ethereum, I have to support Flow, I have to support whatever next. So the infrastructure side of things makes it so much more difficult to have a kind of a unified standard. And this really is part of the reason that's a headwind to this industry as a whole, because everyone's trying to gain market share. So with custody, people might think, why am I talking about custody with NFTs, right? So when you get to the value like the Beeple, right, it's 69 million. And one day, all of these tokens is going to be enabled in secondary trading, beyond just peer-to-peer. There's going to be exchanges. Right now, the marketplace like OpenSea already. But what's going to be cool about this is going to be enable very easy trading of these tokens, because it's fast settlements and transaction, all that good stuff that comes with blockchain technology. And as these value keeps going up and there's more content and sources on these tokens, well, all of a sudden you better think about custody, right? Because if you want the big asset managers or private equity or high net worth individuals want to hold these hundreds of millions to billions of dollars worth of tokens, then that's when custody, having secure safekeeping of these tokens will really come into place.
I'll give you an example, just very quickly. So on Superworld, I tried it out, and my cousin-in-law, she passed away in a tragic car accident, but she actually owned 60% of 18 on the Bund.
Shanghai.
The Bund in Shanghai. The Bund is this very dramatic place, and 18 on the Bund is one of the most dramatic places in Shanghai, especially if you party over the last 20 years. But she rebuilt it, she put it up, she had 60% of it, she passed away. So if you're going to get any virtual real estate, you might as well, it was meaningful for me. So got the Bund. And then somebody else got the one little piece of the Bund. I got there a little bit too late for Superworld. But they're charging now I don't know, it's actually about 250,000 US dollars worth of ETH to buy the one little bit of the Bund that I don't own.
So you're a millionaire.
You own the rest of it, you're saying? Except for that little piece?
I bought the Bund.
He bought the rest of it.
I do not own
$250,000.
Well, no, it's not worth it. That's what that person
selling for.
He's trying to sell.
Yeah, whatever. And so, first of all, custody. I'm going to put my stuff where it's safe because you're going to insure it, right? Yeah, insurance. And then the second thing is what Amber is doing is we need to fractionalize that, because some of these people on Superworld are saying this piece of this little bit of virtual property is worth 1,000 ETH. It's 1.9 million US dollars. Now, I'm not saying that it's worth $1.9 million, but some people might want to buy $20 of something. It might go up and down, right? And so custody is super important. Security is super important. And transparency is the only thing that makes this market work.
Thank you, William. Let's talk about, I just wanted to talk about art for a second, Patrice. What are your thoughts in the gallery industry and what's changing? Or do you feel threatened? Do you feel like this is real art? The value is real? Do you feel on the historical side? Your thoughts?
Well, when we talk about NFT, I think we are talking about auction house. It's just an alternative way of the traditional auction house. So it's not a bad thing. It's secondary market. And like William said, that this is not cool for being a starving artist, right? So artist has to make a living, and the secondary market is very important for the artist. They have to make the transaction of their artworks. And NFTs is one.
But aren't these artists totally different from their history of being a traditional artist? These are all new artists. So do you feel like they have this value, or?
Well, I think digital or new media art is already one of the forms of contemporary art. It's not new, right? Just like music, it's not new, but it's just didn't find a good way to do exchange or transaction. So the NFTs is providing another way, an alternative way for the artist to do the exchange.
Yeah, so we're super, I'll say this very quickly. So for Super World, it's not just about monopoly for crypto, okay? The world is an art gallery, and they are putting a lot of time and money and effort into a artist program. So there's 3 levels. There's like a just education level where people come in, can be educated. Another level where people could come in and get a little bit of mentoring. And then the 3rd level, which is anybody who's established can come in and actually have somebody walk them through the process of how to put whatever they're creating into this new gallery space. So just think about it like a new gallery space. It's just like you get galleries in New York and London. Now you got a gallery in Shanghai or Taipei, right? So that's the goal. And so we had an artist, and she sold her rendition of a house, architectural design, for $512,000 US on Super Rare. And the whole idea is that hopefully the person who bought that can stick it in our metaverse and show it off, and then maybe that person, if they feel like selling the Mars house someday in the future, can do that. But I think that's very important for people to be appreciated for the work that they do, and to get like a small piece, because auction houses are great, but not for the artists. Only the owners actually make money in the auction house. The artists don't get anything. So we can actually maybe change that a little bit so that the artists get a little bit of the upside of the appreciation of what they create.
Thank you, So I think we're going to let everyone go soon to get some drinks. But before that, I'm just wondering, there's so many marketplaces right now and so many. What do you guys think is next in NFTs? And after that, you guys just, if you have any other questions for each other, please.
I think one of the interesting things we're seeing is, and this has kind of been addressed by the custody issue and also with the metaverse question, which is, once you buy an NFT, what do you do with it? That's kind of a problem right now. It's really I wouldn't say a problem, but it's one of the overlooked spots. There's people that I know that own a lot of NFTs, and they're just sitting. They don't know what to do with it. There's not really a great wallet situation, or there's not really a frame. I mean, I'm sure they will exist where you can put it on the wall and show your art NFTs, and there's basically, I think there's a lot of opportunity in that area, and this has to do with the metaverse because displaying it somewhere, putting your stuff somewhere. It also has to do with custody, because where do you keep it once you acquire a bunch of these things? So what we're seeing now as far as the platforms is, when it comes to the music side, I know that Super Rare and Nifty Gateway are kind of the leading platforms at this moment. Also Origin, which is based here in Taipei recently, they moved here recently as far as I know, they're the platform that put the Blau project forward. I really have an eye on them. I think they're really doing some interesting things, and I think that they are going to continue to be an innovator in the space. It's interesting that they're based here in Taipei. But beyond that, there's tons of new ones. I mean, just yesterday, 2 or 3 new ones launched. Always there's constantly new NFT marketplaces and NFT projects launching now in the crypto world. It's red hot, and if you're betting on crypto, if you're a crypto investor, it's a place where people are making a lot of money now, also losing a lot of money, as always the case with crypto. It goes up and down like crazy, and so but there's a lot of opportunity here. It's a buzz. It's a red hot buzzword and a buzzy concept in the crypto world right now. I think this is, one way or the other, this thing is here to stay. I mean, it's not just disrupting music and art and things like that. It works with writing. The New York Times just made an NFT of one of their articles for the first time. there's any digital piece, whether it's art, music, text, is possible to become an NFT. So we're at the very early stages of something major. I don't think it will stay in the exact form it is now, but I do think that, as mentioned, with all the different competing blockchains who are trying to get into this space, there's going to be a lot of evolution, and there's going to be a lot of change, as this evolves. So anyway, I'm happy to be here now watching it, and I think I'm curious to hear what the other panelists think about some of the, where this is heading in the sort of short and midterm future.
Well, I think the custodian problem is a big deal, right? I think until you don't have to load a MetaMask and remember all these private keys and passcodes and all this stuff, it's still scary. I mean, I think you lose your password, or you lose your key phrase, and it's gone. So I think custodians, like a more mass market accessible method of being able to interact with these things. And then I think the case study of or the use case of where these will be displayable. I mean, there's obviously Apple Glass and some of these technologies that 5-10 years from now, we can imagine that there will be potentially almost like a virtual fashion aspect to it. But in the short term, I think I think we're all figuring it out. I think there's big problems with Ethereum still, with gas fees, proof of work, et cetera. That transition. So I think there's a lot of new platforms. There's just so much going on, and it's changing so fast. So it's really going to be it's going to be very interesting. I think there's just going to be so much competitive, projects in the space, and there's room for more than one. So it's an exciting time.
Cool. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask the NFT guys?
Yeah, I have a question. NFTs have been around for a while, actually. NEM had NFTs before Jeremy did. You guys know anything about that?
Yeah, speak up, dude.
What's the question?
Sorry,
Yeah, he hasn't asked a question.
So I think
Thank you.
We work together.
I know. Ask the question, man.
All right, so if you sort of think about that in terms of the value of NFTs, where's intellectual property law in all this, right?
You always come late and ask the same question that we started off the conversation with, Dan. Like what Dan did last week as well. This was how we opened the discussion, because we have the genius KK over here that, went through that already. I don't know.
No, he's got a fever. He's sick. He's okay. Dan's a very nice guy. He did come late, and he's.
Does anyone want to say something for the recording? Otherwise, I'm going to stop it. So, does anyone have a last who wants to say the last
Poignant
word?
point.
In the last 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I feel bad now.
No,
Please
I want to know how
say it.
you. So, last thing before we turn off the recording, how do you NFT a sex toy?
I know, you can
No,
a doll.
you know, or they
a
know?
doll. No, they don't do the toys. My friend has a hentai platform. You can actually own a doll, right?
There is one area where I can't say much about it, but they're looking at.
Yeah, hentai, whatever.
That has to do with virtual girlfriends.
Yeah, I don't have any experience.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
Literally.
I think the real
No, it's not. Sex makes no sense out of anything.
Well, it's like NFTs and OnlyFans is kind of the obvious.
Well, there's some.
Yeah, you can't cheat on an NFT.
So there are a lot of.
You guys have some hentai.
Honey, she's just an NFT. I didn't do anything.
It's a social contract.
Yeah.
I can hear so much better now without the headphones on. The headphones are annoying. I'm not going to wear the headphones anymore. I feel like I was in a different world.
You have to edit that out now.
Should we just end it now? Okay, we're
Yeah,
editing
you might as
everything
well
out. Thank you everyone for
push the
coming.
pink button.
Please have lots of drinks, because William likes it when.
Okay, so we have very